Welcome into the Locked On Packers post-game squad show. My name is Brandon Snide. Green Bay lit up the scoreboard in Dallas, but did Matt Lafleur's play calling cost them a victory?
I'm Peter Bukowski, host of Locked On Packers, and this was nearly Jordan Love's signature game. Jordan Love was outstanding. Don't blame Jordan Love for this tie.
Yeah, this is Coach Jeggs. Plenty of explosives, almost 1,000 yards offense tonight of both teams.
Go Pack Go! It's the Packers Squad. Everything Green Bay Packers every week, covering all the big hits and game-changing plays from Titletown. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. From the frozen tundra with all the cheeseheads, the Packers Squad show starts now.
You're Locked On Packers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Follow the podcast on Twitter, Locked On Packers. Like us on Facebook. Subscribe to the podcast, Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever you find podcasts. You will certainly find the Locked On Packers podcast, the number one Packers podcast on the internet, and the show for fans who unfortunately know what happened. They want to know why and how this evening. As always, thanks to everyone who makes Locked On Packers their first listen each and every day. Gentlemen, so much to get to tonight on the post-game squad show. Some missed opportunities, some missed chances, some questionable play calling. Coach will take us to class later on in the show in Coach's classroom. But let's begin with our initial reactions. The good news here, Coach Jeggs, the Packers didn't lose. The bad news here, Coach Jeggs, the Packers didn't win. Your initial reactions, a 40-40 tie in Texas against the Dallas Cowboys.
You know, ties, it's like kissing your sister. It's just like, God dang, you did everything you could do to win the damn thing, and you didn't. But man, there was plenty fireworks on both sides of the ball. So it just as an offensive coach, it was like people going up and down the field. But I've been on the other side too, where you can't stop anybody. That's a bad feeling.
Peter, I know you just got done on the Locked On Packers initial post-game show. You got us for 60 more minutes here on the extended version. Your initial thoughts, because I was scrolling through your Twitter timeline, and it was quite the roller coaster tonight, Peter. Quite the roller coaster from @Peter_Bukowski. How are we feeling?
I would say anybody that follows me on Twitter knows that is just perpetually the deal here. The offense played well enough to win, and the defense didn't. And that's just the reality. And the special teams especially didn't. In a game you tie, to cost yourself 3 points on special teams is just unthinkable. And guys, think about this. They have a field goal at the end against the Browns. It's for as mediocre as they were in that game, on balance. If they don't get that field goal kick blocked, they're heading to Dallas 3-0. And I would argue, if they don't get this kick blocked against Dallas, they walk out of there with a win. Everything changes from there. As good as the Cowboys played, it's 2 points that you just don't have otherwise. It's an extra drive that you need to make. And maybe it's two-point conversions and then they get it back somehow. But like that costs you the game. And I don't know what else we need to see here from Rich Bisaccia. I don't know what else we need to know about this. It is not fixed. He was brought in to be the fixer for the special teams. It's not fixed. And look, I thought they called this game offensively, defensively, special teams. They called this game not to lose. Well, congrats, guys. I guess you didn't lose.
Yeah, I think that's the most frustrating part about it. And we'll dive into the overtime debacle, even though they did tie the game and it ended in a tie. We'll talk about the play calling from Matt Lafleur there at the end. Initially, we're not going to go into the group chat because I was the negative one this evening during.
Oh, you don't want to expose those things.
We don't want to expose the things I said that Jordan Love was going to do.
Talk you off the ledge.
Yeah, here's the thing: is it couldn't have started any better for the Packers, right? You go right down, you score, you come back, you eventually go up 2 scores, and then it was the blocked extra point for the Dallas Cowboys that got them on the board, got them rolling. And that's obviously where I think the game flipped. But there are some good things I think we could look at from this game. And obviously in a 40-40 tie, you fall to, I shouldn't say fall, but you are now 2-1-1 on the season. We had talked about it on
all year, Brandon. I just know that it's
I know
all year,
because it doesn't feel like a win. Like you didn't lose, but it doesn't feel like a win, Peter. But I'll toss this over to you because I think there's still some positives with this because I thought the offensive line held up pretty well, Peter. I thought Romeo Doubs, the number one receiver talk, Matt Lafleur hates it, but I think
makes him want about it.
I think he's been established for the Green Bay Packers offense. Josh Jacobs got going in this one, a couple of touchdowns, 86 yards on the ground. He led the team in receiving, believe it or not, with 71 as well. So there are some positives to feel going, into the bye week with this team. Now, obviously, you want to win the ball game, but talk about the positives you saw in this game for the Packers. And obviously, you mentioned at the beginning of the show that Jordan Love, almost the legacy game.
Yeah, what I didn't understand, and look, you said we're going to go positive here, and we can do that. But like the drive at the end of the game to have 2 runs at the end rather than trying to get more yards, I just did. It's 3rd and 1. There's seconds ticking off the clock, and it's a run call. Like you still have 4th down if you need to go for it to try and pick up that extra yard. They only ended up picking like 3 more yards up to kick the field goal anyway. So it's like, what was the point of that?
Mm-hmm.
It was so conservative to me. And I thought all game they were so concerned about blocking that they didn't trust Jordan Love enough. And Jordan Love succeeded in spite of all of that. That's the thing to me is what I hope Matt Lafleur does is he gets home because I think Matt Lafleur is a really good coach. I think he's a really smart coach. I think he's a really adaptive coach. I think he's a really good play caller. But again, there was a lot of stuff where I was like, can you just trust Jordan Love to go do it? Just trust him to go make those plays because more often than not on Sunday night, he did coach. Like how many times did he slither away from a defender and either get the ball off or go take off with his legs? I thought this was the best Jordan Love running performance I've ever seen from him. I thought he put the ball where he needed to all night long. And if anything, I wanted Matt Lafleur to unleash him a little bit. Just go attack this group.
Yeah. It was as much zone as these guys played. It was like just a ton of it.
You're talking about the Cowboys, playing zone?
Yeah. And, that's why you could pick them apart too. I think they could have taken a lot more shots up the field with just verticals, right? And they're playing a single high safety. I mean, get 2 guys 2-on-1 on there and you have a chance to throw the ball down the field. But I thought he kept he ran the ball really well. Jordan did tonight, and we were concerned about Jacobs, but 157 total yards. That's a big night.
Yeah. If we pulled out the group chats, I will cop to that. And I cop to it on Locked On Packers. I started to, not that I was hitting the panic button, but I had broken the glass in case of emergency on the panic button.
And rightfully so.
I was ready to hit it because it looks, and I will say on some of these runs, it just looks different with Emmanuel Wilson out there. There does seem to be a little bit more juice at times, but then all of a sudden Josh Jacobs will make 3 guys miss and have a 20-yard touchdown like he did. And it's just sort of like, oh yeah, that's right. He can do that stuff too. So I do think there's a lot of positives, especially offensively, to take away from this game. Yes, I know the Cowboys defense stinks and they had more injuries in this game, but Deron Bland came back. Trayvon Diggs came back and played in this game. They've got some young players on their front like Donovan Ezeraku, Sam Williams, who are still figuring things out. They can grow and get better. I think there are a lot of takeaways offensively to things to be happy about with this team. And I think defensively, they're going to play better than this. Like this was just one of those games where Dak Prescott, guys, was awesome. They get paid too. Coach reminds us that all the time. The other guys get paid too. And I mean, how many Jalen Tolbert making a toe tap catch on the sideline in overtime. That's unbelievable.
I didn't even, when in real time, I said there's no, and the side judge was adamant that it was a catch. I said, there's no way. In real time, I'm watching. I'm like, there's no way he actually caught that.
And he did. And the George Pickens play, I thought there was no way that George Pickens ball that he had caught that either. And he did. So look, Dak was awesome. He had every answer. And that's just going to happen. When you play a quarterback as smart, as experienced as Dak Prescott, you're not going to be able to scheme your way through it. I thought this pass rush just didn't show up. Where was Micah Parsons? This was the Micah Parsons revenge game. He made one key play at the end.
Probably saved the game.
Probably saved the game. You're right.
Yeah, it was a good play.
But you know, it would have been nice for him to do something, for the 65 minutes before that.
Did you think that they didn't play with a lot of juice tonight on defense? I didn't think so.
No.
And how everyone feeds on Parsons and everything. I didn't get that feeling, watching the game. I just didn't see. I'm not going to say it wasn't energy, but I just didn't see like a lot of juice tonight.
I don't think they had an aggressive game plan the same way that they did in weeks 1 and weeks 2. I think they came out really ready to attack the Lions, especially. And maybe we're just spoiled by what that was, the intensity of that game. And we'll see that in a different situation. I would love to see it in another situation. But I think you're right, Coach. I didn't think that they had the same sort of fire. And I'll add, like, Edgerrin Cooper played his worst game as a pro. I mean, the play at the end in overtime, fires right downhill, reads the play, has Javonte Williams dead to rights in the backfield, just whiffs the tackle. Like we'll see what Pro Football Focus says. I would guess 4, 5, 6 missed tackles in this game from Edge Cooper. It was just a nightmare. And sometimes you're just going to have those games. George Pickens is a really good player. Dak Prescott's a really good player. Sometimes that's going to happen.
Coach, did Matt Lafleur seem to you at the end of overtime that he was a little bit worried about something happening in what happened to Jordan Love and his offense going into the second half with that fumble, that strip sack fumble that ultimately put 10 point, or felt like a 9-point swing technically. But it was he playing scared there in overtime, do you think? Because a little bit worried about, maybe Jordan Love taking a sack or a strip sack or an interception, because it felt like he was a little gun shy with Jordan Love there at the end with the play calling, some screens, it felt conservative watching it. What did you see at the end of the overtime from the play calling from head coach Matt Lafleur?
I think he was playing not to lose.
Yeah,
that's what it
feels like. Yeah,
it looked like to me, right? And I tell you what, guys, they're so lucky that they had 1 second left. There was clock management 2 weeks in a row now. It was bad. And that call goes right into the quarterback from the head coach.
They needed to get on the line there faster. They did not have
no urgency.
There was no urgency that whole final drive, guys. Like,
didn't it look like it was all they weren't getting a call in, and
right. It was all just a mess to me. And there a couple runs on that drive. I know Emmanuel Wilson picked up 5-6 yards on a couple of those, but it's just sort of like, guys, you got to score a touchdown. It felt like they called that last drive knowing they had in their back pocket the ability to just kick the game tying field goal. And it's like that should not be in your mind at all. Let me ask you guys this. Would Dan Campbell have approached that final drive like that? Yeah, I'll answer no. Would Kevin O'Connell have approached that last drive like that with Carson freaking Wentz? No.
Ben Johnson,
even with Caleb Williams, they led a game-winning drive on Sunday.
Yeah.
And, a lot of DeAndre Swift in there too, but like they did it and they would have been playing for the win in that situation. And Matt Lafleur, they played not to lose.
You talk about Matt Lafleur. Coach talked about Matt Lafleur. Let's go inside the locker room and hear from the head coach after a 40-40 tie in Dallas.
Down here to tie a football game, but that's what happened. It's disappointing in regards to just too many critical mistakes that led to that tie. Give Dallas credit; they did a great job offensively. Moved the ball down the field. There's a lot of things that we all have to clean up. Starting with myself. I mean, we're trying to be aggressive at the end of the half, and that really bit us in the butt.
He talks about being aggressive going into the halftime there, where Jordan Love loses the ball and the Packers give up a touchdown. I think that goes to say that he was feeling a little bit of the same pressure in that overtime, guys, and was trying to get out of Dallas and at the very minimum against an NFC opponent leave with a tie.
Yeah, well, and if he's going to be disappointed, then look in the mirror. Like that's a reflection of attitude reflects leadership, right? I mean, that's the whole deal. And so there's no excuse for that. And like, we wanted to be aggressive. I didn't see aggressiveness at the end of the half. Like I understood end of the first half, the fumble, you can't. Coach, you put that on Matt Lafleur. I don't. Left tackle just got beat.
You got beat bad, yeah.
You don't expect the Walker of all the guys to be in that position. Maybe Darian Kennard.
But live and die by that sword then. Like live and die by that. Don't pick and choose.
I agree.
Don't pick and choose when it's going to be convenient. Me and Coach were talking about while you were wrapping up your first show, Peter, was that when they got the ball, I think it was on that third, or maybe it was the Dontavian Wicks catch and run, and it was like at the 19. There was over a minute left in gameplay, and you got off 2 or 3 more plays after that. I mean, and Coach, this stuff is ran in practice all week, correct, Coach? Like you're talking about these things. You're doing these situational things in practice all week to know, like, hey, if we're in this situation, correct? Like this, this is the things that you run through all week.
Mm-hmm. They did, and I tell you, I think, like I said, it just played not to lose. It was just, that's exactly what I saw. I said, why aren't these guys going for at least throwing in the end zone? I mean, in the red zone. I mean, they were 5 or 6 in the red zone. Throw it up, go for the win. You had Dobbs, and I tell you what they did too with Dobbs. They were playing trips, and he used a single receiver, and he did it 3 times tonight, and put him in that situation again. You're down there, right? And they didn't do a good job stopping him, getting him off the line of scrimmage. He did a great job on all of his stem releases tonight, especially one-on-one.
Peter, you just give me one go ball, Coach. Like, give me just one rail shot. If they're going to play single high safeties, like just one shot down the field. I didn't understand any of how the final part of the game was handled. The end of the first half, or the end of the regular season. Listen to me. It's late, guys. The regulation game, it was just all so conservative. I want to know, like, Brandon, you're watching this defense just get like dog walked up and down the field. What is going through your head, like, especially in the second half when it's just like touchdown. What are you thinking as you're watching this defense?
What happened to them? Where is the defense that I've seen in the first 2 weeks against 2 teams that were in the postseason a year ago? 2 teams that are going to be likely in that same boat potentially this year. The Lions winning today again.
Commanders, but
yeah, potentially no Jane Daniels, but I confused, Peter. Confused. Like what? There was no, Coach mentioned no juice. There was no rallying to the ball. There was the ball carrier, Javonte Williams, and not taking anything away from him, but it just felt like he was getting 4 or 5 yards without being touched. It just felt like there was no energy. There was no juice on that defensive side of the ball, things that we had seen in the first couple of weeks, even that Browns game, right? Like the Browns, their offense isn't great, but the Packers did what they had to do, what they should have done against that Browns offense. And tonight, I thought the defense for the Packers started in that direction, but it slowly went away. And I was afraid of this on Thursday during our midweek show. I said, Dallas is going to be the more desperate team. They're going to be the team that cannot leave AT&T Stadium with the loss, given their record. And these were the things I was afraid of. But Coach brought up a point. I want to spin it back on you, Peter, because Coach brought up a point and said, why didn't he, push the ball downfield? Why didn't they go for the end zone a few times at the end of the overtime period there? My question is around Matt Lafleur and Jordan Love. Peter, does Matt Lafleur just not trust Jordan Love? Is there a trust issue? I don't want to say issue, but is there a question mark around the freedom or the lack thereof that Jordan Love has?
We didn't see any issues with the freedom in the first 2 games when he was leading the league in average depth of target, when he's throwing the ball 15 yards.
The last 2 weeks, we haven't seen it.
Last 2 weeks, Zach Tom has been hurt. Aaron Banks has been hurt. So when you have an offensive line issue, you have to understand that like the protection is not going to be the same, and the protection is not going to be the same. And what did we have in the first half, Coach? I'm yelling in the group chat, the Jagsism, count to 2 because you had
on the goal line twice.
You had, well, and that was, I thought, frankly, that was a ridiculous call. But
I do too.
Because, right, like, Coach, every center in the NFL from time immemorial does that with the ball every time. And it's not an advantage. He's still handing the ball to the quarterback.
I watched football all day today, and that not one time was that play call.
It's just the dumbest thing ever. But so I like that part. I don't understand. But then you have Jordan Morgan. He's a penalty early. Darian Kennard has 2 penalties early. these are backups. And I don't think Matt Lafleur trusted the offensive line. You saw Jordan Love hang in the pocket, make throws against the Lions, hang in the pocket, chuck the ball all over the yard against the Commanders. I think it was really, again, it goes to the conservative part of this, all the early, just quick RPOs, the screens. Like, how many screens on the first drive did they call, guys? When this is a Packers or a Cowboys defense, 32nd in the league in defending the pass. We're talking about the worst guys running wide ass open all season. And frankly, guys running open in this game most of the time. I didn't understand, like, Jordan Love, I think, had 43 attempts. They had 35 rushes. And for most of the game, it was part near 50-50. And I didn't understand it. I was like, the way you attack this Cowboys defense is through the air. And it was just not particularly aggressive.
No, not great. Not a great one at all. A bunch of things that went wrong in this one. We will certainly dive into them coming up on when this game turned for the Packers and Cowboys. 80 combined points scored in this one, a 40-40 tie game in Texas. At what point did this game change? We'll discuss and give you our opinions after this. Today's Locked On Packers Squad Show is brought to you by Prize Picks. Every day we make decisions, but on Prize Picks, being right can actually get you paid. Don't miss the excitement of this football season with Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. It is such a fun and simple way to add more excitement to football. You just pick more or less on player projections like Josh Allen's passing yards or Saquon Barkley rushing for a touchdown, Jordan Love passing for over 300 yards, and you're in the game. Download the Prize Pick app today. Use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL for $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. Once again, that's Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Today's Locked On Packers Squad Show also brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Caffeine just got a flavor upgrade. 5 Hour Energy shots delivering tasty caffeine in 17 bold flavors. Each 2-ounce shots packs the caffeine of a premium 12-ounce cup of coffee plus B vitamins and nutrients with zero sugar and zero crashes. I will need about 3 to 4 of these tomorrow because what I love about them, they're portable. Big taste, tiny shot. You can take it anywhere and get the boost that you need. Enough with the boring, flavorless caffeine. It's time to give your caffeine a flavor upgrade with 5 Hour Energy shots. Get the favorites you love or be bold and try something new in store and online at 5hourenergy.com. Or if you're like me, just go on Amazon and order them today. A 40-40 thriller in Texas ends in a tie between the Packers and the Dallas Cowboys. So many opportunities in this one, it feels like, for both of these teams, quite frankly. Coach, let's begin with you. The turning point in this one after the Packers and Cowboys end the thriller on Sunday night in a tie.
Guys, you hate to say it, but the field goal, I mean, or the extra point, I mean, getting that thing blocked and getting returned for 2 points was really the difference in the game. That was the turning point. And I mean, they had one first down in the first quarter. That was it.
The Packers dominant. Yeah, that
that
led them back in.
Yeah, and you know, they got the momentum on that, and I think that was the turning point of the game.
Peter, turning point in this one in a 40-40 tie between the Packers and Cowboys. You are muted, Peter. So I'll give you mine while you get your microphone turned on. I will say that obviously the extra point one is the extra point is obviously, I think, the momentum definitely changed, to your point, Coach. But for me, it felt like going into the halftime with the strip sack of Jordan Love was kind of where it felt like you were looking at the scoreboard. You're like, all right, Packers are kind of dominating every category in this one. The scoreboard, they're up big. They're up 13-2. They allow the Cowboys to score a touchdown, and it's 13-9. And then you're like, all right, let's get into half. Let's kind of regroup. We have the lead, and then boom, before you know it, within 30 seconds, the Cowboys put up multiple scores, and the Packers go into halftime down. And it felt like that deflated them, obviously, on the scoreboard, but it felt like the energy in the building completely flipped with that strip sack, which led to a Dak Prescott touchdown. You got to give credit where credit's due. Peter, your turning point in the 40-40 tie.
Yeah, sorry. Rich Bisaccio was operating my microphone, so we had a little issue there. I'm gonna zag a little bit here, guys, because yeah, I do think the momentum was flipped. Obviously, the 3 points ultimately is more than enough to cover the margin here for the Packers to have won the game. If it goes the other direction, 41-38 win in Dallas sounds a lot more fun to me, doesn't it? But so they're up. They kick that extra point that does not go. But if everything is, the momentum is so flipped, shouldn't the Cowboys have gone right down and scored on the next play, on the next drive? The Packers force a 3-and-out on the next drive. And so now you have the chance to go put this team away. It's 13-2, a touchdown here, and you can just demoralize this team. But they punt it right back, and then that is the 95-yard touchdown game or drive that comes. 5 plays, 15 yards right after that. Them not being able to put this Cowboys team away. How many times, guys, are we going to watch this team have a game that they dominate through 2.5 quarters or 1.5 quarters, and they can't put this team away? They can't put an opponent they have comfortably up. Like the Lions, if they don't get that turnover at the end of the first half, all of a sudden that game looks a lot different, right? The Commanders, that they should have scored 40 in that game, and they couldn't. And then they play with their food against the Browns, and it bites them in the ass. And so this is a team that I want to see them in those moments when you have a chance to step on someone's throat. They have to go take better advantage of those opportunities. You don't want to leave a game-winning drive in the last quarter. Do what Aaron Rodgers used to say. He didn't have a lot of fourth quarter comebacks because he led a lot of game-winning drives in the second and third quarter. Go do that. Put the throttle down.
Yeah, and again, it just goes back to just staying more aggressive. That 95-yard drive was pretty big. I mean, coming off the goal line, right? And they had to do a lot of things right to keep a drive going for 95 yards and scoring on the thing too.
I think an underrated part of this game too was, and obviously it didn't translate into the outcome.
On Micah Parsons on the big play.
Well, there's that. There's the
reached out and grabbed him.
There's the intentional or the non-intentional grounding that apparently I don't know where the receiver was. Mike Pereira didn't know where he was either, who was on the television broadcast. The non-call
that's not reviewable is crazy.
There's that. There's the no call on Dontavian Wicks, who almost came down with it, but I don't know how in overtime they don't call defensive pass interference. That probably saves them 30 to 45 seconds in that one as well. It's a Ron Torbert crew, so it's not surprising. But the underrated part too about the turning point, you guys, and it's when the Packers go down, they score a touchdown, they take the lead in regulation. Romeo Doubs once again, and then special teams. To your point, Peter, and they give up the Turpin 47-yard return. The Cowboys are at midfield. They score 3 plays later. At what point, Coach, do you look at the special teams and Matt Lafleur walk in his office, no matter how much, close they are, how friendly they are, their buddies, whatever it is, at what point is his unit hindering on what this team is going to do come, postseason, hopefully into the postseason, to where he's got to make the move to this. This is a problem now. This has been a problem now since he's taken over. And oh, by the way, last I checked, you can correct me if I'm wrong, he's the highest paid coordinator in football. At what point, though, do we got to look in the mirror? Does Matt LaFleur got to go in there and hold him accountable because it's just not working?
Yeah, I think for sure he's got to have a closed door conversation with them. Say, hey, look, this is not working for us. I mean, that's 2 games in a row where it's cost us ball games because we're not getting it done. That Turpin deal, I think that was really understated how big that return was.
Oh, yeah, backbreaker.
You
score, you go down and you score, and then you give them the ball at midfield.
Yeah. So, but everybody's responsible for their position, and he's in charge of the whole thing. He's the head coach of the special teams. And so he's responsible for that. He's got to be responsible for it.
So Jags, like in a situation like that, where you're he's an assistant head coach, but he's in charge of his side of the field.
unit,
and the head coach, his unit, the head coach comes in and wants to, have a come to Jesus. How does that, like, we always hear fans say, I want the head coach to hold these guys accountable, which I think most of the time means I just want them to be fired, which is not how this works, generally speaking, because accountability is not only meted out through firing, right? In any workplace. So how do those, what is take us inside a room like that where Matt is going to come down and say, look, we got to have whatever conversation, like what is the leadership in that moment?
Yeah. So here's the thing. Everybody's held to a standard. Everybody's held to a standard. I mean, Peter, you are, Brandon, you are, I'm held to a standard. And the thing is that he won't call that out in the media. He just won't. You just can't, because you lose face, and it's just that's bad look, because that loyalty, you still have to protect your coaches. But at some point, he's gonna go, hey, how come we're having such a hard time just on the field goal unit? That unit. I mean, that thing's got to get fixed and fast, or it's going to keep
league-wide too. League-wide, it's a problem. But yeah, you're right.
It is, and we're going to talk about that operation here in a little bit. But he's got to hold him accountable, and he is. But he's not going to do it in front of the media, guys. It's just that's not going to happen. But he's going to have a sit down with him, going, what's the problem? How can we get it fixed?
Here's my other thing, Peter, with Bisaccia, since we're on the topic, and now I'm looking at my notes from the game. This year we saw Jaden Reed return punts, who, by the way, had a broken bone in his foot. We've seen Matthew Golden return punts, who got lit up today. I'm honestly shocked that he didn't exit the game with an injury or fumble the football. Then we saw Romeo Dobbs returning punts. What is the deal with the returner for the Green Bay Packers? Why? You draft Savion Williams for a reason. You have him back there on kickoffs. You had Bo Melton back on kickoffs.
I was just going to say, where is Bo Melton? Like,
I don't understand. I don't understand what the plan of action is here on these punt returns. Here's the other
Savion on kicks. I get Savion on kicks because with the new rules, you want a bigger guy back there, break a couple tackles and be gone. Punt returners normally, I mean, I'm used to, what was the Vikings guy back in the day, David Palmer, the Allen Rossum's coach. Like that's usually who's back there on punt returns. But like, isn't that why Bo Melton is on this team? Like that's, if he can't make the team doing that, just let him fair catch it. Like Matthew Golden has looked so lost out there from the rip on this stuff. That seems like low hanging fruit to me. Like you can't put your starting first round receiver out there to return punts unless he's Odell Beckham Jr. level at it. Like Odell Beckham that first year, like he was unbelievable. And then maybe in like situational stuff, remember they used to put Woodson back there. Charles Woodson used to return punts in high leverage situations, but like this is not that, guys. And so I just that seems like obvious stuff. I think it is the easy default, and I will defend coaches here after I ripped the coaching staff for the last half hour and then the last half hour before that on my show. I think the easiest thing to do is rip the coaches for decisions like that. We also don't know what's happening at practice. We don't know, hey, we tried Bo Melton at punt returner and he can't catch a cold. Like sometimes they're just guys have a mental block with stuff like that. Like they can't do it, or we think he's doing too much other stuff. There are things that can go on behind the scenes. It is very easy for us from the outside to say, just put someone else back there. It isn't always that easy. And I understand that. Also, same thing, Jags, like with the field goal, like they've changed protectors. They've had a different group protecting on field goals every week because offensive line injuries. Tucker Kraft is hurt now. They don't want to have him out there. They pulled Luke Musgrave in this game, and it looked like I couldn't see who it was, but it looked like someone with like a 90s number out there as the protector on the edge there. So they're searching right now. It's hard when you're this banged up, I think, and we don't always take that into account. To have limited practice reps, it's tough.
Yeah, and you can't do that live. You don't practice that live, guys. It's just one, 2 steps, and that's it. That's all you get. Like the defensive line is okay, guys. It's 2 hard steps. That's what you get. And in practice, for sure, during the week, could you imagine you losing a guy on an extra point or a field goal unit at practice? You'd get run right out of town, right? But the way you do that is like, hey, all right, just 2 hard steps. That's all you get on defense. Get your hands up, and then And then it's just a brace up by the offensive line. Make sure that they're interlocking their legs and nothing gets through.
Can you walk through? Can you do it walk through? Can you do it like half speed?
Yeah, but there's nothing to simulate that live. Yeah. You just can't, you know. And we were talking before, Brandon. It's 1.2 seconds. That's it. That's all you get. And it's a hell. It's hell on the offense. It really is, because they don't. All they can do is take the pressure. They can't do anything but catch.
The Packers and Cowboys ending a thriller on Sunday Night Football, a 40-40 tie. Lots of talk surrounding these special teams. Coming up after this break, Coach takes us to the classroom, and spoiler alert, it has to do with Rich Bisaccia and the Packers special teams unit. Today's Locked On Packers Squad Show is brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you do not want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Whether you're a casual fan or love dining into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com. Once again, put down your first $5 bet. If it hits, you get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Once again, that's FanDuel.com. Tough one for the Packers. It's not a loss. It's not a win. Many opportunities in this one. They tie the Cowboys in Dallas, heading into their bye week with a 2-1-1 record now, a much-needed bye week. When I looked at the schedule when it first came out, I hated the early bye weeks, guys, but I feel like it's coming at a good time, certainly for the Packers and their offensive line. And speaking of their offensive line, in their protection, Coach, your turning point was the extra point that was blocked. We saw the potential field goal tying with the Browns last week being blocked as well. We've seen it all over NFL, really, today and last week, certainly. You're taking us to class. What you got for Coach's Classroom this week?
I want to talk about the field goal and the field goal protection. So the field goal unit, there's the defense, what they try to do is change the line of scrimmage, okay? And it's not so much the problem anymore because the kickers get the ball up so fast. So it used to be get pressure up on the front, change the line of scrimmage, okay? So there's the first thing. The other thing they get, the weakness of the protection is between the wing and the tight end, that gap, okay? And what you try to do is it's 1.2 seconds. That's the operation of a field goal unit, field goal extra point unit. And what they did today, 88 was playing the wing.
Luke Musgrave.
He's got to step down first. And he's got to step down first and make sure that gap is protected, and then late out on the wing. So it's an inside out progression for the wing. And the pressure point on that field goal unit is that gap right there. And all you got to do is just touch the guy on the outside just to make him redirect, because the operation time should take care of it. But he let that guy go, and that's where it was blocked.
So he went out. He took the guy on the outside.
He went out, but you got to go inside first, inside and then out. And again, you don't have to get much on the out. All you got to do is you got to keep that inside hand up and lean back out and get a little bit of just a little bit on a guy on the edge, and that the operation time will beat it.
It seems like that's the kind of thing where you need someone who knows how to do that. Like it is not an easy thing to just do, and so to have all of these ins and outs of players, like it seems like that would make it really difficult, because it's the kind of thing where, like, okay, I got to take this step here. There's guys flying at me. You're going to have two guys coming at you every single time there's a kick. You have to have someone comfortable there. And the fact that they don't have two guys to do that just seems unthinkable to me, Coach.
Yeah, the thing is, though, that's always a tight end. The tight end is always that, because it's a bigger body, right, on the wing. But those guys have been doing that their whole career. I mean, there's no other way to coach it. There's no other way to coach that, and because the ball's always in the middle of the field, like in college, you get like a tackle over, because of the hash marks in college, depending on where you are on the field, but it's always in the middle of the field in pro football. And that's the weak point in the protection. And it always has been, and it always will be. But there's a technique to do it. I mean, you got to step inside first and then outside. And you got to get a little bit piece of the guy on the outside of the wing. So
it makes me wonder, I think, Brandon, about roster construction too, because they're short tight ends. There's injuries. I get that, but if you had an extra tight end, it'd be really nice to have him in a situation like this. And I don't want to run away from this, Brandon, since you're in the Goody crew. Aaron Banks hurt. Hasn't played great since he's been on the field. Nate Hobbs, terrible in this game. I mean, he was atrocious in this game. Gave up 2 touchdowns. Does not look healthy. I don't know. Does not look like the guy we saw in Vegas. I don't know if he's healthy or not, but he's looked bad. And again, I mentioned the roster construction piece. Like if they had one more tight end, that would seem like that who could be in a position to block somebody. It seemed like that'd be pretty useful right now. Like for as much as we get to praise Goody for the Micah Parsons trade and all the offensive weaponry and the depth that he's built at offensive line. I think it's important to point this stuff out. This has been a blind spot for this team, finding the special teams guys over the last few years, and that is then in addition to you pay big money to 2 free agents and they've not produced for you so far. Now, you could make the other I'll steel man this for you, Brandon. It's been 4 games and Nate Hobbs has been healthy kind of for 2 of them. Aaron Banks has been healthy for 0 of them. So get those guys healthy and maybe it looks different, but you'd like to have something more from those guys.
Well, no, it seems too like the injuries up front, you're down a handful of linemen, to coach's classroom segment where you're down a few linemen up front and your protection's going to probably take a little bit of a dip. But I do think that I didn't like I'll be honest with, I know Goody's a big time listener of the Locked On Packers podcast. I wasn't big on the Aaron Banks signing. I certainly wasn't for the money that he signed for. Nate Hobbs, I was much higher on because it was obviously a position of need for the Packers. But I thought the offensive line tonight, to kind of your point about depth, I thought it was fine tonight. I thought it was good. I mean, the Packers were able to run the football. They were able to keep Jordan Love up.
Eventually run the football, yeah.
But I think the early issues with Josh Jacobs running the football were sort of on Josh Jacobs. It felt like. It feels like he's very indecisive, when he gets that ball, and Emmanuel Wilson comes in, it's a complete difference, a different feeling to it. But to your point, though, Coach, I mean, how much is special teams hammered in practice? Like, if the Packers played on Sunday night, practice kicks off Monday, correct? You do your walk, you implement your game plan or whatnot. How much is
usually on Wednesday?
Okay. How much
they'll have off, or they'll meet Monday, off on Tuesday, Wednesday's day 1.
How much is special teams hammered? Now, I'm assuming every team's a little bit different. Every organization's probably a little bit different. How important was special teams when you were a coach, and how important do you think it is right now for this Packers team?
Well, they always talk about 3 phases of the game, right? You got the offense, defense, and special teams. That's third of the game. So it's very, very important, and it's emphasized a lot, because that wins and loses games for you, because it's talking about field position as well, right? And how you manage the game or manage the kicking game. But it is emphasized a lot. And when I had my teams, I put starters on mine. Pro football is a little bit different, but I'd still put starters on my kicking teams. And I just let them go, hey,
they need Elgin Jenkins out there. They need this team to get healthy, because their blocking is not good enough. But they're blocking, like Elgin Jenkins had a couple bad misses in the first half of this game. Like, if you can't block this front, it's a problem. And they couldn't. And so I'm concerned about the offensive line, because it's players like Rasheed Walker, like Elgin Jenkins, who are supposed to be Sean Ryan, who are supposed to be stalwarts for you, and there's no attention to detail right now with this offensive line, and that's coaching, right? That goes back to
it is, Peter. But the thing is, like they're such in flux. How many different lines?
It's so hard.
10 most offensive line
NFL
combinations in the NFL. They have had 10 now.
Guys, that's hard. And again, I'm not making excuses for them, but when you don't have continuity with your offensive line, it's very, very difficult. And again, left tackle is different than right tackle, guys. It is. Everything's different.
I'm getting absolutely destroyed in the live chat right now because I said the offensive line was good tonight. I'm sorry. I thought they were fine.
You didn't say good. You said fine, and there's a difference. They were fine.
They were fine. I mean, Jordan Love, the Packers generated almost 500 yards of offense, guys. There was one sack that was given up. A pretty big one. But I thought overall, like the running game got going. They created holes for Emmanuel Wilson and Josh Jacobs. They gave Jordan Love plenty of time. Jordan Love, to his credit, also using his legs finally. I thought the offensive line, I don't think the offensive line was the issue tonight. Am I crazy, Peter, for saying that? I don't. When we're looking at this, and I understand that that front seven is not anything that's going to knock your socks off, but I thought the Packers did up front what they should have done. Obviously, the field goal, the extra point being blocked is a whole different conversation. But I thought overall, the patchwork offensive line, keep in mind, you don't have an all-pro right tackle out there. Yeah. That's big time, guys. Like that's big time. The offensive line tonight was not the issue for the Packers.
Absolutely right. So they were good enough. Injuries, every team's got a banged up offensive line. How many offensive lines did we watch the rest of Sunday? We're like, okay, well, the right guard is banged up. This is the backup right guard, and then the right guard's got to move the tackle. Like, this is life in the NFL. You're in 60 car crashes a game as an offensive and a defensive lineman. Like, it is so tough to play offensive line in the league. And Jags loves to, joke that if they were more athletic, they'd play defensive line. Like, they got to play against better athletes all game, and those guys rotate. Like, Rasheed Walker played 70 snaps tonight. The defenders, they're playing 50. They get to rotate. So it's a really difficult thing. David Bakhtiari says all the time, I gotta win 60 reps. You only got to win 2 to affect the game. Sam Williams only needed to win 1 rep all night, and it cost the Packers a touchdown on the scoreboard because it sets up the touchdown there. So it is so tough. I don't know how the onus of this game can go anywhere other than the defense. Like, in terms of what was not good enough to win the game, you score 40 points on the road, coach.
500 yards offense. You know how hard that is.
You got to win. You got to win those games 98 times out of 100, don't you? Like, if you'd have told Matt Lafleur we're going to score 40 before the game, he'd like, okay. How did Malik Willis play in the fourth quarter?
Yeah, and on the flip side, the Packers pass rush not doing anything against also a patchwork offensive line for the Dallas Cowboys. So if you want to look at
they were really vanilla. I wanted to see them move Micah Parsons around.
I thought they were going to, Peter.
I don't know why they didn't. I think they thought they could just take advantage one-on-one, and the guys just did not, did not quite have the same effect. I think they tried to mix like that 3rd and 4 on that second last drive. They try to play non-traditional Tampa on 3rd and 4. Well, the ball's going to come out quick. Dak's going to read that. Dak was just on fire with the reads. Every disguise, Dak was ready for it. Ball comes out. The ridiculous heave to Jalen Tolbert. Dak was just locked in on all of that stuff, but guys weren't getting open. Guys were not getting unblocked. They were not getting off blocks. They were not rallying to the football with the same level of intensity. They were not tackling with the same level of focus. It was a really sloppy performance, I thought, overall. They didn't look as fast as they have looked for most of the season. Did it look like that to you guys? Like, Brandon, they didn't look as fast tonight, did they?
No, not at all. There was a step behind. You mentioned Edgerrin Cooper. It felt like they were brutal.
He was bad. You and I, Brandon, are like his biggest fans, but
we are
brutal.
And the secondary too, Peter, just which I thought I gave a little bit more credit, I suppose. I know a lot of people were down on the secondary coming into this year, but I thought we saw Keyshawn Nixon play one of his best games. It was his best game as a pro against Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders. And I had higher expectations for Nate Hobbs and Xavier McKinney, leading that group, but that was a letdown this evening. Here's the other thing too, with the defense, to your point, Peter, Why did it feel like everything the Cowboys could have got anything underneath? It was a lot of soft coverage from Hafley, and against Dak Prescott, I'm just not sure why.
Well, he wants to push the ball down the field, and
he does. But when you don't have CeeDee Lamb,
I think they
lock him up
again. This is the conservative part of this. This is they were playing a lot of let's just make them drive the length of the field, and when they do that, 10 plays, 95 yards. You tip your cap, I guess. That's the idea. But then in the second half, where's the man coverage in the second half? Where's the blitzes? Where's the unique stuff? It was like they just didn't have any of that stuff ready to go. And that's the part I don't understand. Like the whole thing, there was a great quote I read this week from Micah Parsons, where he apparently went to the DBs, one of the first practices, and just said, sit on everything because the ball's going to have to come out.
Right.
Where was that? It felt like anytime they wanted to get a slant to George Pickens, it was free access, coach. Like you got to redirect these guys. Like if Dak wants to get the ball out and he does, then you got to do something else. You got to get a little man coverage, maybe a little cover two to just get that jam, that redirect at the line to blow some of the timing off. I felt like it was a very vanilla, an uncharacteristically vanilla game plan from Brandon Snide's favorite coach, Jeff Hafley.
Yeah. Is he your next head coach now, Brandon?
He may have done that on purpose just so he can stay in Green Bay. Which, if it results in a tie, we'll take it. We'll keep Jeff.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I tell you what, it just looked different to me, guys. It didn't look like Detroit. It didn't look like the Commanders. It didn't, And how we got just how many sacks did we get on
I think
Dallas?
Just that Parsons one at the end.
Yeah.
Which I'm surprised I thought he got to the line of scrimmage, but they did call it a sack.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they didn't get enough pressure on him either, though. I mean, he was getting the ball out fast, Peter. He was getting it out fast, but he sat back there too now.
There was plenty of opportunities. There were some on play action, right? Where he that's going to happen. They wad up the protection and, they go 6 or 7 man protections to give him time. But like, there were also opportunities where they just straight drop and no one's getting home. No one's winning. Like, where's Rashawn Gary? We spent this week talking about, hey, Rashawn Gary is leading the league in sacks. Where was that? Lucas Van Ness. Like this was 2024. Lucas Van Ness. We didn't see
I didn't even hear his name tonight.
No.
He had a pressure in that game. It was one, but he
did. In fact, he almost.
Yeah.
And the announcers didn't mention it, but he almost got a strip sack.
He did
just by a whisker. And Micah Parsons, right, went for the uppercut.
Right there.
He almost got a strip sack. Like the game really was there for some plays to be made, and the defense just didn't make those plays. It stood out to me, guys. And not to really gas up the Lions, but like Joe Flacco gifted them 2 really bad interceptions. And that leads to points. And it's like the Packers needed that one turnover in the Browns game, that one Joe Flacco interception to really drive the stake in. And they needed in this game 1 stop, 1 interception, 1 swipe the ball away. And they couldn't get it. The Cowboys got it. The Packers didn't. And if you'd have told me coming into the game, which team is going to make that one defensive play that's going to swing the game, right? If I said, I'll give you $1,000 and you got to give me $1,000 if you're wrong, you'd have bet money on Micah Parsons and the Packers.
Yeah.
So we always talk about like what wins and loses games. If you just take both sides looking at the stats, right? They're almost identical for the quarterback. Almost identical. Explosive plays, 1 turnover. That determines games, guys. That's what explosive plays and turnovers. If you win that, you're going to win 99% of the time, 90% of the time, I should say. But that turnover was big.
Turned into a touchdown. That's the game. I mean, it really ends up being that simple. And the Packers needed one opportunity to go their way. Micah almost gets it. Lucas Van Ness almost gets it, but they didn't do enough down to down defensively. Like it was a lot of, if you're going to play rally and tackle and put an umbrella on everything, then you got to, I almost just said a word. You got to rally and tackle.
I was wondering if you were going there.
You got to rally and tackle. I don't have a soundboard to give you the bleep, but you got it. And we don't have a delay. You got to rally. You got to rally and tackle, coach.
I do. You do. And again, the energy needs to be better. Just does.
Not a win, not a loss, though. A tie game in Texas between the Cowboys and the Packers. One final break here. Couple of game balls that hand out. I'm curious where the guys are going to go with this one in a 40-40 tie. We'll hand them out coming up after this. Today's Locked On Packers Squad Show is brought to you by Rugiet. You've probably heard of Viagra or Cialis. Maybe you even tried them. But if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rugiet Go Long. This is not just another ED pill. It's a total game changer for confidence. Go Long combines 2 doctor-trusted medications in one dual-action formula, so you get hard and can go the distance. The effects can last up to 36 hours. That's confidence all day, all night, and even into the next day. If you're ready to level up your confidence in the bedroom, head to Rugiet, RUGIET.com, and use promo code LOCKEDONNFL for 15% off your first order. Once again, guys, Rugiet, RUGIET.com. Use the promo code LOCKEDONNFL. You get 15% off your first order. And make sure to use that code so that they know that we sent you here on the Locked On Packers Squad Show. A roller coaster game for the Packers ends in a 40-40 tie. Peter, handing out the game balls in this one. I feel like I have an idea where you're going to go with this one based on your tease at the beginning of the show. But without further ado, you got the game ball. Who are you handing it to?
Yeah, it's Jordan Love. Jordan Love goes on the road against Dak Prescott in a quarterback duel, and you put 40 points on the board. You play well enough to win. I thought on third down, they're like the Cowboys guys went 4 of 11 on third down in this game and scored 40 points. That's like impossible to do. Meanwhile, Jordan Love and this offense on third down, 10 of 14 on third down. That's tough to do in practice to do it that effectively. And so that to me is Jordan Love, the plays with his legs, extending plays, the play. Guys, how good was the play to Josh Jacobs? And he breaks the pocket, looks like he's going to run, throws what ends up being a lateral over the left sideline, and Jacobs breaks it down and ends up being a touchdown. Like, those are the plays from Jordan Love as a creator that you want to see. I thought this game had everything from Jordan Love. I think start to finish, maybe his most complete game, given the stakes as a pro, just because of what he was asked to do. Like, his last game in this stadium was probably, cleaner, but he wasn't asked to do as much in that game. This game, he had to go out and he had to produce touchdowns every drive at one point, and he did it. And so he gets my game ball.
And he used it, to your point, using his legs, man. That's the one thing I've been hammering for Jordan Love. Use your legs, a big 25-yard run there to help get them into the end zone eventually. Can't disagree with Jordan Love getting the game ball there. Coach, you got a game ball. Who are you handing it to?
He did. He played a solid game. Good quarterback play today, both sides. But he played well. I'll tell you what, I'm going to give it to Dobbs. I mean, you got three touchdowns, man. He turned that corner inside out. One was on a fade, one and a couple on a slants. I mean, he did a great job. But someone's got to catch those catches. Someone's got to make plays. And if the quarterback's throwing it to him, someone's got to be on the receiving end of it. I thought Dobbs did a great job tonight.
I don't think it's a coincidence that after 157 total yards from Josh Jacobs, 86 on the ground, 71 through the air, Josh Jacobs leading the Packers in receiving, that it's a coincidence that once you got him going, you got the scoreboard going as well.
I think that's a great point.
We had talked about if Josh Jacobs doesn't get going in this game, and like Peter said, it took a little bit, but he eventually got rolling. Should we be concerned? He looked pretty damn good, certainly in that second half, scoring a couple of touchdowns. And once the Packers were able to get the run game going, it felt like they couldn't be stopped offensively, right? Emmanuel Wilson, too, had a big game, 8 carries, 44 yards for Emmanuel Wilson. So the run game in general, but Josh Jacobs is my highlighted player for my game ball, because I thought when you're able to and to your guys' point about Jordan Love, fantastic, amazing. Like Peter, you said at the beginning of the show, a couple of plays away from a legacy game. I thought Matt Laflur put the handcuffs on him. I thought there was an opportunity at the end of overtime for him to put that game away. But hopefully going forward, this is good news coach for the Packers offense to get this run game going. They're going to get some guys hopefully back, certainly with that offensive line. They're heading into a much needed bye week, but hopefully with that ground game, good things to come for this Packers offense. Because with that run game, it's just a complete difference maker with Jordan Love throwing the ball.
So let me ask you guys real quick. What do you think in the staff room? You know, we'll get back tonight, and in the staff room tomorrow goes, all right, guys, what do we got to get fixed? Because that's what you do. It's like, what you do good? What do we need? And usually the bye week is a little bit later on in the season, right? Like after 4 games, like what needs to be fixed? Special teams needs to be fixed.
Yeah, no doubt.
Right. What else?
I mean,
I think it's just health. I think it's just health. Like I do. Like I don't think, other than special teams, I don't see anything glaring right now with this team.
I'm gonna sound like, you know, Jack's gonna go, okay, Mike. But to me, it's fundamentals. Like there's a lot of the details are just not there right now. The not still too many penalties, not lining up correctly. Like Carrington Valentine lines up offside on a play where he's like coming in, a corner lining up offside. Like that's just like unthinkable. For where are you going? What are you doing? So those kinds of things, I want to clean up the details, the fundamentals, like, and that includes tackling. That includes which direction you step on an extra point, Luke Musgrave. Like those are it's the little things. This team is talented enough to win. This team is talented enough to beat anybody in the NFL, but you have to be on your details.
Well, the good news is they'll have some time to clean it up. They'll head into the bye week 2-1-1. And I guess, guys, at the end of this, we'll wrap it up with this. The good news, the Green Bay Packers are still undefeated at AT&T Stadium. They have not lost a game down
That's
there.
a good spin on it.
So that is the good news. And as always, thank you guys for tuning in. Friendly reminder, the Locked On Packers Squad show and daily show with our guy, Peter Bukowski, free and available wherever you guys get audio podcasts, as well as over on YouTube. For Peter Bukowski, for Coach Jags, and for myself, we will sign off for now after a 40-40 tie between the Packers and the Cowboys. We will pick things back up on Wednesday. We'll dissect things that Coach Laflur talked about earlier in the week. We'll see where this team goes after the bye week. But remember, our guy Peter Bukowski has got you all week on the Locked On Packers daily podcast, and you can get all of that wherever you guys get Packers wherever you get podcasts in general, audio podcasts, as well as over on YouTube. Thanks to each and every one of you guys for tuning in this evening. Thank you for making Locked On Packers part of your day each and every day. And as always, win, lose, or draw, stay locked on Packers.